in the yard, nigga.
Y'all some funny people, man. Y'all some funny people out there. Y'all can't take yourself outside of following some shit and just think about things critically. Think about it outside of just a general narrative of what you see is in front of your face online 24/7. Let's get into a brief history of this whole shit with Max and Jim, right? Max was locked up in the early 2000s. He came home from that bid in the early 2000s and linked with Cam and Jim. Cam and Jim already had a wave with Dipset in the early 2000s, all right? Cam was signed to Rockefeller. The Dipset movement was crazy. The mixtapes was going crazy, right? Now, Jim was rapping at the time, but Jim did not have any hits. Anyway, Cam and Jim get into whatever they get into. Max comes home and he winds up subsequently signing to Bird Gang. Jim started his own label. He signs to Bird Gang. Stack Bundles, rest in peace, signs to Bird Gang, right? So now, nigga Max pen start going off. It started going off. Of course, he wrote a bunch of shit for Jim. We all know that. But at the end of the day, the first mixtape that we know about, you know, somewhat commercially and in the streets was $1 Million Baby. That was Max B's first mixtape, $1 Million Baby. So now, that happens. He's penning hits and stuff like that for Jim, Diary of a Summer, all of that dope shit, 7 Day Theory, right? Now time moves along and Max winds up catching the case. He winds up catching another case for a botched robbery that turned into a murder and stuff. It was alleged that he's the one that put it all together, but he wasn't present. The chick that was dead supposedly told on Max, right? We know all of this. This is all documented. Now, Jim, which was wrong, decided that he wasn't going to pay Max B's $2 million bail. As time went on, Max B's bail went down to $90,000. Jim made a deal with Max and said, yo, I'm going to bail you out. The $90,000, I'm going to put that up, but you got to give me 6 albums and you got to give me a publisher, right? Which is wrong. That's bad business at the end of the day. I'm not co-signing none of that. That's bad business. Max, being desperate at the time and wanting to get home, which I understand, signs the deal. He says, all right, cool. But when he comes home, he goes on a mission going at Jim, which I understand, right? You put me in this crazy bond. You paid my $90,000 bail, and for that $90,000, I got to give you 6 albums, plus you take my publishing. You're basically making quadruple worth what my fucking bail was, right? Now, the other thing is, Max doesn't really know what's going to happen with this case. Jim don't know what's going to happen with this case. So Jim, being a businessman at the time, was probably thinking like, yo, this guy's a liability. If he's going out and doing this type of stuff that he's alleged for, then he's a liability, and I got to secure my shit for my business. That's how Jim was probably thinking. I'm just saying. But at the end of the day, Jim wasn't right for going about it that way. He could have curated a whole nother type of deal and situation for him. What I'm saying is this. While Max was out on bail, going at Jim, getting into fights at parties and crashing cars into each other and all of this shit, he winds up linking with French. French had Cocaine City popping. French wasn't a big rapper at the time, but they were able to gain a relationship together because they had a mutual enemy. French didn't like Jim. French didn't like Jim. Max B didn't like Jim, and they got together. And then everything else is history from there. Max wound up going to court one day in Bergen County and not coming back out. Got a whole bunch of time, got time taken off, wound up doing the 16 years, and he's back home, and congratulations. But what I'm saying to y'all is this. Max B, who's a phenomenal artist, could not get anywhere without a cosign. Y'all put that shit in the comment section. Put it in the comment section. Tell me at what point was Max B able to get to where he has to go without a cosign? The first cosign, in my opinion, was Dame Grease by producing the $1 Million Baby album, the mixtape. Then after Jim, it was French Montana. And he still has a major cosign from French Montana. And now it's a plethora of others who are co-signing him. Salute to him. I'm happy for him. I'm so happy that he came home and he's in a great situation compared to what it was back then. He ain't got to think about doing stupid street shit anymore. He ain't got to worry about a dollar. His family is well taken care of, and he's super talented, and he's going to keep going up. But what I'm saying is, stop trying to go crazy in my comments about shit y'all really ain't do your homework about. A lot of y'all wasn't even listening to Max B music at that time because y'all were fucking kids. And to the grown folks, y'all know this shit. Y'all just don't want to say it because y'all just want to follow a narrative. It's just the facts. It's the facts. Jim did bad. Yes, Jim did fucking bad with the business that he did with fucking Max B. We know that. He did not do good. But what I'm saying is, let's not make this all one-sided. There's two sides to this shit. There's two sides to this shit. Max B came home looking, from his previous bid, Max B came home looking to get on. And he went up under Jim's wing. And yes, Jim wrote, yes, Max wrote a bunch of records for him. He took the We Fly High, which is still his biggest single to date. And then Jim tried to make it right later by giving him back his publishing. Right? But you got to think, and this is for people that are business minded. If you have an artist under you that is dope, that is fire, you're trying to keep them in a good situation, and they decide to take it upon themselves to still do street shit and go commit crimes, then that fucking artist is a liability. So when that artist being a liability, you have to make executive decisions and say, okay, I took the risk by putting this guy on and signing him to me fresh out of jail, and he still decides to indulge in street shit. How am I gonna make sure my business and my brain is protected? Well, okay, you wanna get bailed out? I'm gonna bail you out. But here's what it comes with. It comes with me getting 6 albums from you and your publishing. Now, we don't know how long that whole publishing deal was for. Jim could have said, yo, the publishing is for 5 years or 6 years and then you'll get it back. Who knows? I don't know. But the whole thing on Jim's side is that he was trying to protect his brand. I believe he was trying to protect his brand and his record label at the time. Then he loses Stack Bundles. That's not on Jim. That's not on Jim with Stack Bundles. Rest in peace. Another phenomenal artist that was about to take the fuck off. But was signed to Bird Gang. And Stack was making noise already in the streets. And Jim scooped him up. And everything was fine. Stack ain't never... That's the thing I don't understand about y'all. Stack never made no complaints about Jim and business and shit like that. When Stack asked for something, Jim gave it to him. Tried to move him out the hood, bring him to Jersey, all of this shit. But the brother decided to still be in Far Rock, in the hood. And it led to his untimely demise, unfortunately. Right? This is the shit that y'all got to think about. The fact that sometimes artists decide to make decisions on their own because they feel they're not where they need to be financially and they have a deal or something like that. It's the same thing when these artists sign to major record labels. They might not get the advance when they want to. They might have to put some more work in before they can get a big budget, a big advance, and help take care of their family and all of that. Not only that, if you a street nigga already and you become an artist, then you got niggas in the hood in your ear like, yo, bro, you got a deal? Why you still running around like this? If you got a deal, they supposed to be putting money in your pocket. Niggas be fucking egging you on, throwing shit in your ear, making you think that you gotta live up to this standard because you got signed. When they don't even understand that being signed is a business. You're working for a company. You got to put work in. Again, shout out to Max B, to him being released. I'm glad that he's home and I'm glad that he's up and he's doing his thing. I look forward to everything that he's about to do. And I wish him the utmost success times a million. But the facts is the facts from what happened in the past. Like I said before, I am not siding with either party. I'm looking at it critically. Max decided to still divulge in the streets at that time and wound up going to jail for 16 years. Jim wanted to protect his brand and his business. when he made that deal with him, and everything just fell out of control out of that. There's a whole bunch of shit that happened after that. Now, will they be able to ever coincide again? I don't think so. Me personally, I don't think so, because it got too crazy. Like, at the end of the day, another thing is, and I'm gonna end it with this. For Max to go back into the streets to rob a scammer, allegedly, right, through this girl and through this other dude, like, yo, go to the hotel while he's not there and he's out partying and go get this dude for his money, and that dude was a scammer, means that he was down on bread. He needed some money. Maybe he went to Jim and said, yo, I need a couple dollars, and Jim might have been like, yo, you got to do this, you got to do that. And Max maybe wasn't trying to hear it. Or it's just that Jim didn't have it to give to him. But at the end of the day, Max went and made that decision, allegedly. Max would not be known to the world if it wasn't for his cosigns. And his cosigns is Dame Grease, Jim Jones, French Montana. We have yet, from the beginning of Max's career, to see him stand on his own without a cosign. But shout out to him, he has all the cosigns in the world now. Again, salute to Max B, the whole Coke wave, everything that's about to happen. Salute to French Montana, happy belated birthday. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. If I'm saying something y'all don't agree with, say it. I don't give a fuck. But that's the way I see it.
Spin the yard, nigga.